You know, when we talk about AI, we're usually talking about progress, right? About all the amazing possibilities. But what happens when a company builds an AI so powerful, so potentially dangerous, that they don't celebrate it? They hide it. What kind of tool would make its own creators lock it away in a digital fortress? Well, that's exactly the story we're diving into today.
This whole thing kicks off with a pretty shocking announcement from a major AI company, Anthropic. See, they built something that's a massive leap forward, but instead of a big product launch, they sent out a warning, a serious one.
So what in the world did they build that has them so spooked? Let's peel back the layers on this announcement, because believe me, it sent a real shockwave through Silicon Valley. It's time to meet the secret AI at the heart of all this.
Okay, meet Claude Mythos. And right off the bat, it is critical you understand this is not just another chatbot, not even close. Think of it more like an autonomous hacker, a security researcher that never gets tired, never sleeps, and was designed to find cracks in the very foundation of our digital world.
Because it's so powerful, they've kept it completely under lock and key. And get this, the phrase they used to describe what would happen if it got out was a cybersecurity reckoning. I mean, that's a chilling phrase, and it's coming directly from the people who created it.
To really get our heads around the scale of this threat, we need to understand what this hacker in a box can actually do. Because this is not just some theoretical danger. This is very, very real.
See, Mythos operates on a whole other level. It found critical flaws that human experts, the best in the world, had missed for decades. We're talking about a 27-year-old vulnerability in OpenBSD that no one ever saw. It found these bugs with ease, buried deep inside the code that our entire digital world is built on.
And this slide, this just sums up the insane leap we're talking about. Old school hacking took elite skill and weeks, if not months, of painstaking manual work. Mythos just does it. It automates the entire process, turning a complex art form into something you can launch with a simple prompt, and it gets results in minutes.
And that leads to a really frightening thought, doesn't it? Suddenly, you don't need to be a government agency with a billion-dollar budget to cause absolute chaos. With a Mythos-level AI, that kind of power is, well, it's basically available to anyone.
Okay, enough theory. Let's make this real. Where would a weapon like this cause the most damage? We're going to walk through a hypothetical scenario in what is, unfortunately, already the most targeted sector on the planet.
Healthcare is the #1 target for ransomware attacks, and the reason is brutally simple. Leverage. You can't just shut down a hospital and wait it out. When a bank gets hit, money is at stake. When a trauma center gets hit, lives are on the line.
Now, to get what happens next, you have to understand this term, zero-day. It's a bug that the software's own creators don't even know is there, which means there's no patch, no defense. It's an open door. A great human hacker might find 1 or 2 of these a year. An AI like Mythos, it can find them by the thousands, creating this terrifying new reality of infinite 0 days. So, picture this. An attacker uses a 0 day to target a hospital's internal messaging system. Think of it like the hospital's digital nervous system. It's the language that lets the ER talk to the lab and the pharmacy. And suddenly, it just stops. But it gets worse. The attack is polymorphic, meaning the code is constantly changing its own signature. It's like a spy who keeps changing disguises, so traditional antivirus software is completely blind to it. And the final stage, that's where it becomes a true nightmare.
Okay, all of that technical stuff is one thing. But what does that chaos actually feel like on the ground? For a doctor? For a nurse? For a terrified patient lying in a hospital bed?
It results in this chilling new state of affairs we're calling medical identity denial. This isn't just about locked records. The system itself no longer knows for sure who you are, what allergies you have, or what life-saving treatment you desperately need.
And this is the human cost. This is the reckoning they were talking about. The pharmacy has no idea what meds to send to the ER. The lab can't get critical blood results to the right room. And in the most terrifying scenario, a surgeon looking at scrambled data might not know which kidney they're supposed to be operating on. It's a total breakdown of patient care, all caused by a few lines of code.
It's a bleak picture, I know. But the story doesn't end there. The very same technology that creates this insane threat might also be our absolute best hope for building a defense.
So, in response to their own scary creation, Anthropic launched something called Project Glasswing. The goal is simple, and it is incredibly urgent. Get defensive AI tools into the hands of the good guys before the bad guys perfect their own version of Mythos.
And they are putting serious money where their mouth is. They're funding a massive global effort to find and fix these holes before they can be used against us. They're essentially trying to build an AI-powered immune system for the internet. It is a race against the clock.
So where does all this leave us? What's the ultimate takeaway from this whole story? From Anthropic's warning about this new reality, especially for something as critical as healthcare?
You know, some people might criticize Anthropic for being alarmist, for ringing the fire bell too early. But in any field where lives are on the line, being too early with a warning is always better than being 1 second too late. This doesn't feel like alarmism. It feels like a premonition.
When you boil it all down, the single most important takeaway is this: the world has fundamentally changed. The kind of sophisticated cyber warfare that used to belong exclusively to superpowers, well, that's about to become a whole lot more common. Mythos isn't the weapon, it's the warning shot.
And that leaves us with one last, critical question. We all know how heroically our doctors and nurses respond in a crisis. They are incredibly resilient. But when the next crisis is digital, when the attack is silent and invisible, is the infrastructure they depend on just as strong? That's the question we all need to be asking.